Hello everybody and welcome back to another video in our web development series. We're still going through the fundamentals here, and that means we're in CSS right now. So let's just jump right in. This video we're going to be talking about how to add shadows to our boxes and to our text. So to do that, I'm just going to generate my boilerplate code here. Shadows is going to be my title. And then after that, we're going to link CSS. And then down here, I am just going to make a div with a class name of box. And then inside of here, we'll give it a title. The title can be, I don't know, CSS shadows. And then after that, let's just put some text in a p tag. So I don't care what it says, lorem 50. And there we go. We have some generic text. If I save that now, you can see it shows up on my web page over here. Now we've got this box. Let's make that actually look like a box. So come on over into the styles.css, and we're going to say our box class. We're going to use our class selector with a dot there to select our box class in here. And then in here, let's go ahead and give that some padding. And we'll say maybe 10 pixels on the top and bottom, and then 20 pixels on the left and right. Let's give that just a little bit of margin too. We'll say maybe 20 pixels. Well, let's go 50 pixels all the way around. And then after that, I'm going to say a background color. And let's just say light steel blue. And then after that, let's go ahead and give this some corners, some rounded corners. And to do that, we can do our border radius and maybe just set that one to 20 pixels. And then finally, let's go ahead and set a width on this. And our width is going to be maybe 50% of our view width. And then that should be good. Let's go ahead and save that and see how it looks. And there you go. We've got this box here. It's got our text, our title, and then our paragraph after that. Now this looks okay, except in here, it looks pretty flat. Around it, you know, just going from the blue straight into the white, it looks totally two-dimensional, which it is, but we want to make it look just a little bit three-dimensional. So to do that, we can add something called a shadow. So if we come down here and we say box-shadow, well, in here, there's a couple different values that we have to define. The first one is going to be your X offset. So maybe we'll say 10 pixels on X offset, and then your Y offset comes next, and we'll just do 10 pixels on that one as well. And then after that, you have to define a color. So for that, I can just say dark gray. Now, if I save this, you can see our box ends up with this shadow coming off of it, and it just looks a little more 3D, a little more just better. It looks like it's popping out of the screen at you. And we can obviously adjust any of these values here. So I told you the order here is going to be your X offset and then your Y offset. So if we change this to like 30 and then save it, you can see now my shadows moved quite a bit over in the X direction or the horizontal direction. And again, if we change this one, now you're going to see it move in the Y direction. So see, it goes down when we change that one. And there's a few more optional parameters or optional values that you can define in here. One of them is going to be what's known as the blur radius. So if we want the shadow to not have such a hard edge like the original box does, but we want the shadow to have a blurred edge, well, we can do that by setting a blur radius on this. So if I say 10 pixels and then save, now you can see the edge of that shadow is blurry, kind of like a real shadow in the actual world. And then another value that you have here is something called the spread. And essentially, it's how much you want to grow your shadow. So if I come up here and I say, just to exaggerate, 50 pixels, well, now you can see that that spread has grown my shadow pretty significantly. And any of these, of course, can be negative, right? So if I say negative 10 pixels, well, there we go. Now our shadow is actually smaller than the box. And of course, these can all be negative as well, the X and Y. So if I change my my Y offset to -40, now it's going up above the box. Now let me just do a comment up here, just so that you can visualize what all these values are. So box shadow, and you're going to have your X offset, and then you're going to have your Y offset, and then this third one here is going to be your blur radius, which is optional, so I'll put that in parentheses, and I can say blur radius. And then the fourth one is going to be, again, your spread radius, meaning how much that shadow is going to shrink or grow. So that one's also optional. I'll put that in parentheses as well. So spread radius. And then after that, the last one is just going to be your color. And again, that you can do a color like that, or you can, you can use the color selector and you can select really any color that you want for that. But we'll just leave it there. And you see you can use an RGB, you can use an HSL color, you can use RGBA. Any way that you get color, you can put that value there. Now, after we have all of that defined, if we want to now come back and put a shadow on our text as well, we can do that with a property called our text shadow. So if you say text shadow, but we don't necessarily want to put that right here. We want to put that on our header element. So to do that, if I just say H1, and then now that we've selected our H1 header, which the CSS shadows is an H1 header, in here I can say text shadow, and some of these parameters are going to be the same. So it's going to be your X offset and then your Y offset. So 10 pixels, actually that's going to be quite a bit for text. Let's say 3 pixels and 3 pixels. And then after that, you also have a blur radius. So maybe just a tiny blur on that. We can say 1 pixel. And then finally, you have a color. So we can just say white for now. And then enter. Let's go ahead and save that. And now you can see our title now has a shadow on it too. So you can play with all of these values. And let me just comment here too. This is going to be text shadow. And then you have your X offset, Y offset, and then the blur radius is again optional. So I'll put that in parentheses. And then after that, you have your color. So that's basically it. That's how you can add shadows to any of your elements using either a box shadow or a text shadow. Hopefully this is going to help you add just a little more of kind of a 3D feel and kind of help your elements on your website pop out a little bit more. Leave a comment below telling us what you think, and then make sure to keep going back and reviewing not just this, but all the other topics that we've covered in this course, and we will see you in the next video.